So next to me is the 2024 Audi RS3. This is based on Audi's smallest sedan, which is the little A3. However, the RS3 cranks it up a lot of notches to be a pretty incredible performance sedan. This is my wife's car. She went from an A3 a long time ago to the S3, now into the most current generation RS3. And for her, it is the perfect blend of a race car along with a daily driver practical car. Now, before we get farther into the video, it's worth mentioning that our RS3 has quite a few modifications, nearly a full exhaust. You got the air intake, springs, spacers, and a few cosmetics to really improve the fun to drive aspects. And if you own an Audi RS3, you can order all these parts on our website, linked down in the description below. Now, while the RS3 is based on the more economy-focused Audi A3, there is so much packed into this car. On top of that, our car is finished in turbo blue. MSRP was $65,000, and the only optional package we added was the RS technology package. The interior gets the black Nappa leather, and we went with the red honeycomb stitching. So powering the Audi RS3, you're gonna find the 2.5-liter inline 5-cylinder turbocharged motor. It makes 401 horsepower with 369 pound-feet of torque. Now, these are only paired to a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, and they feature Audi's Quattro all-wheel drive. It is a front-wheel drive biased all-wheel drive system, so when you really are pinning it around some turns, you're gonna feel it in the steering wheel just a little bit. On top of that, car and drivers tested this 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. Audi states about 3.6. So already this is one fast little rocket ship of a car. It also is going to feature 6-piston brake calipers out front and then single-piston calipers in the rear. 0 to 100 is about 8.4 seconds, and then this car will top out at 155 miles per hour. So moving on to the styling with this 8Y generation Audi RS3, there's a lot of grille. It has a massive grille finished in the gloss black. Not everybody likes it. You are going to notice, at least with our aftermarket splitter, it breaks it up and kind of adds to that lower, more aggressive design, especially with this car being lowered. You do have a really cool set of LED headlights. So if I tap the unlock button, you're going to see a cool dance from the amber to the white, and then in the daytime running light in the corner, it actually says RS3. And while you're driving, this is actually a nice checkered flag. That way, anybody who sees you in their rearview mirror, they know you're in a race car and you're probably about to pass them. Overall, this design has grown on us. It looks pretty cool. It's super bold, and for a compact car that it is, it really adds to the performance aspects that the RS3 has. Moving on to the side profile with the Audi RS3, the weird thing with this new car, it has a staggered set of wheels and tires, which may not sound all too odd. However, the fronts are the bigger ones. You got two 65s up front with two 45s in back, and the front wheels themselves are about a 2-inch wider front track. So being that front wheel drive bias, all wheel drive, they are really playing on having that traction and grip up in front. You do have a cool set of 19-inch wheels. These are the two-tone design. Black optics will give you a solid gloss black. Of course, the red contrasts really well for the brake calipers against the turbo blue. And then the front and rear fenders are nice and wide, giving it that boxy appearance, kind of like a mini wide body. And you have pretty good proportions. It does look like a stubby car. I love the glass on the roof and all the gloss black throughout the vehicle to really make it look pretty aggressive and pretty sporty. And then in back on the RS3, you do also have a nice set of LED taillights. If we hit the lock icon, you can see the sequential turn signal, and then hitting the unlock icon, it also plays a pretty cool dance within the taillight, just like you saw up front. Pretty sleek back here. You do have some black trim throughout it, your parking sensors, backup camera, your basic technology, chrome Audi logo, a small lip for the RS3 as well, and it has a lot of sharp lines, just like the side and the front. Now, you remember me saying this inline 5-cylinder is a pretty unique engine. Not many cars have a 5-cylinder. The closest thing is the similar derived V10 that Audi and Lamborghini use in some of their supercars. So let's take a listen. Of course, we have the mid-pipes and exhaust, so it sounds quite a lot nicer and louder than factory, but a 5-cylinder will give you a super unique tone you're not going to hear in another car. So moving on to the interior with the Audi RS3, given the price point, you would expect some nice materials, and you do have that. This has the genuine Nappa leather on the seats, leather on the steering wheel with the perforations, and there is a nice bit of satin carbon fiber on the dashboard. There is some Alcantara on the door panels with ambient lighting, and overall it is a pretty nice interior. There is just a little bit of the piano black, especially right in the center, so you're gonna get a little bit of fingerprints and some dust, and the reflection with the sun sometimes is a little bit annoying. Now the dashboard has a soft touch rubber material and a little bit of plastic on it. I wouldn't mind some nicer materials for the dash and the upper portion of the doors. Now, one of my favorite things with Audi's infotainment and these screens, same with my wife, is how they've designed it. A lot of the new cars are going to where every single thing is in the screen. Now, obviously modern cars have so many features, you couldn't have a million buttons. That wouldn't make any sense. Audi keeps it simple with your basics right here for climate controls. It is so easy. It's integrated into the design of the dash. You have your fan speed, your temperature, your zone, heated seats, and just all the basic climate stuff right in the center with its own screen. No questions, it's super easy. Same with audio, you have this little roller dial like an old school iPod with your next track volume and on off. Those are the two things, radio and climate, that needs to always be a physical button. I hate modern cars where you have to go into the screen to do everything. Of course, the screen itself, like your typical Audi, you have all sorts of things, navigation, all these settings, Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay, things like that. The gauge cluster is really cool on the RS3. You have a standard gauge cluster that looks like a typical car. You have a few things in the center you're able to scroll through. Of course, we have the virtual cockpit with the full navigation, but when you change your drive modes, you get a really cool design with more performance settings that will pop up. We also have more drive modes. You have drive select down below, comfort, auto, and dynamic, and then we have RS individual, RS performance, and the RS torque rear, to where this can be semi rear wheel drive bias. So you have a lot of good technology in here. At 5'11", I sit here pretty good. Sometimes I will nail my knee on the corner of the dashboard. So I think if you are above 6 feet tall, this might be just a little bit too small of a car for you. Other than that, it is a roomy, nice place to be. You have a nice thin mirror with your garage door buttons, sunroof as well. Talking more about the sizing of the RS3, again, at 5'11", sitting behind my driver's seat, it is doable. My knees fit just behind the plastic trim that is in the back of the seat, and my feet do fit comfortably underneath the seat. There are climate control vents, which is a huge plus. There's also 2 USB ports, a little bit of storage behind these seats as well, and you're even gonna see cup holders and an armrest right in the center. So it's actually not bad for being a smaller car. The door panel also gets the Alcantara. All the red stitching is throughout. These are Napa leather seats as well, even in back, and you have ambient lighting. So for being the smaller car, it actually is pretty practical. I'd say 6 foot is probably about the cutoff. There is good headroom in here, a couple inches. And overall, you can kind of straddle the seat a little bit and sit back here for quite a long time and not be too uncomfortable. And then for the trunk, you're even gonna see 11.3 cubic feet of volume back here, so it's pretty practical. There is storage underneath the floor. The seats will even fold down flat to maximize storage. So like we've mentioned in this video, for being a small car, not only can you fit people, but the trunk space is pretty practical as well. And not to mention the performance factor, quite a lot in a small package. So what is it like driving in the 8Y Audi RS3? So right now we're in the comfort mode, which is its most basic drive mode. This has the adaptive suspension. It's really comfortable and soft. It absorbs bumps very well, just like in a premium Audi. That's one thing big we've noticed with this generation of car. It has what you would expect from a car wearing an Audi logo. It is pretty quiet in here as far as road noise and wind noise goes. These seats are really comfortable, great support too, and really just a pleasant car. You could daily this all day long, go on very long road trips, and you're not gonna get fatigued. It's just gonna be a good place to be in. You have fantastic visibility. You have basically a big bubble for windows, so it's easy to see around. Steering is light and soft. The brakes, they're a little on the touchy side, but of course, this is a true RS car with real performance, so you're gonna still notice that no matter what. In the slow speeds, you feel the dual clutch a little bit. It's slightly, I would say, clunky in the slower speeds. You just feel it engage a little bit, so you just have to know you're driving in a very performance-focused car. Now, when you go into RS performance mode, that tightens up quite a lot. You're gonna get a little bit quicker shifting, the exhaust valve's open, and you're also going to get stiffer suspension. Now, the suspension stiffens up quite a lot to where you feel the bumps and the car starts getting like a mini race car. From the dual clutch transmission, when you're on it, braking hard, it starts to really wake up and you can feel just the race car aspects. Now, being all-wheel drive, even though it's more of a front-wheel drive bias system, it doesn't have the best turning circle. It's pretty large, honestly. My Supra rear-wheel drive, I'd be about a car length to the left right now. So this car, sometimes for being a small car, you're gonna have to do more turns than you might expect, like right there, almost touching the grass. So, with all that said, the performance in this car is something special. car comes alive. When you drive any other $65,000 performance sedan, they will not come close to the fun factor that this car gives you. You can tell it is extremely nimble, very planted, and it is just a little race car. That's the best way I can describe this car. It's a little race car. The 5-cylinder sounds so unique. It pulls hard. While there are some cars, maybe like the BMW M2, which will pull on it in the high end with the twin turbo engine, the quickness that this car has under 100 is unlike anything else. You have perfect traction from the all-wheel drive system. Very responsive dual clutch. I mean, it reminds me of my old R35 Nissan GTR. This car, weighing in around 3,600 pounds, is agile. It's light feeling. It feels light on its toes. Today's world, gone are the 3,000-pound sports cars. But this car feels light, it feels agile, and is just a little go-kart to drive. Only drawbacks, given it does have the front-wheel drive bias all-wheel drive, if you're flooring it around a turn, you feel some input, which is my biggest complaint with the car. I wouldn't mind a heavier steering and less input from the front. The M3 Competition, of course, rear-wheel drive bias from xDrive, and you don't get that whatsoever. My old GTR, you didn't get that at all. So that is the one complaint I would say with this car. Now, one more fun trick up this car's sleeve. If we go back into the normal automatic and hold down traction control, we can turn that completely off, and we can do launch control. This car's launch is pretty nasty. Wow. I don't know how a 5-cylinder can even do this. I don't even get it. I don't get it. This is lightning quick. I can just feel like my whole body is like crazy right now. This car is fast. It is so fast around town. If you're just ripping it, anything, like I said, under 100, it just books it. Gosh, it is so much fun to drive. The fun factor, nothing touches it for the money. As far as an all-wheel drive sedan like this, nothing comes close. And with the mods, of course, the exhaust sounds incredible. The intake, you hear the blow-off noise, the turbo. There is so much character to this car. So wrapping up the video with the 2024 Audi RS3, if you are looking for the ultimate performance sedan that isn't the BMW M3 Competition, the RS3 is absolutely the car to buy. For a mid $60,000 range, it is right on par with more typical luxury sporty sedans like a BMW M340. However, this truly gives you that excitement level that you can't get until you spend nearly 100 grand on an M3 Comp. The Audi RS3 is practical, it's premium, it's a nice car to drive on the day-to-day, but you get a wild amount of performance, and anything else that is at this price point isn't quite the same. The BMW M2 is a great alternative if you don't need the dual clutch all-wheel drive and 4 doors. M340 isn't a bad option if you can sacrifice some excitement for a bit more practicality and space. And then there's a few other cars here and there that are kind of close, but nothing quite matches up to the RS3. It's a fun car, we're really enjoying it, and it is a heck of a blast once you modify it and you rip it a little bit through the back roads. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, stay tuned for plenty more content. Take a look at our website if you own an RS3, because these parts really make this car come alive. I'll see you guys in the next video.